There we go. I'd like to call this work session to order. Tullahoma Utilities Authority, May 27, 2025. This is a work session where we're going to go over items that concern the board and also the utility that are non-voting items. I think what's up for the work session tonight is we're going to go over the second reading of the budget for FY26. Is that correct? No?
Strategic plan.
Oh.
You don't have anything for the study session, do you? No. Budget-wise? Okay. Thank you.
We're going to do strategic plan update.
Okay, Kelly. So back in January, I think it was January, Emma gave a great update on the strategic plan. So here, my plan is to dive a little deeper into some specifics of what we've been doing. And we're coming up on a year of the strategic plan and a year of a lot of new faces in leadership roles. So I just wanted to be a little more specific on what's been going on the past year. And we know the objectives. So, enhancing internal communication, that was one of our strategic initiatives. And what you see here is a couple of pictures of our intranet, which we've been using for probably 6 or 7 months now. And it's been a pretty big hit, I believe, with our team members. But on the intranet, you can go look at policies, procedures, and then we got a place for updates. So if you log on to the internet, the first thing you'll see is updates. So here's a snapshot of a message I released. What was that? Last week. And then CPR trainings. You can sign up for trainings on here. Do surveys, and there's just a lot of different information on our intranet, and we're proud of it because everyone has this. It's on the mobile phone, and everyone has a mobile phone nowadays. It's right in their hand. So surveys, policies, procedures, any type of message we need to get out quickly, that goes onto the intranet, because everyone does have an email, but everyone doesn't know how to use their email. So the intranet's a lot more user friendly than an email on the phone. So that's probably, along with, we've put several TVs up throughout the building with information. We're having, monthly meetings after board meetings, informing our team members of things you all pass or discuss. So I think we're making really great strides in enhancing internal communication. Oh, I got ahead of myself. So monthly meetings, small group meetings has initially the past year been focused on, after we hire, we'll hire 3 or 4 people, and then a month or 2 after that, we'll have a meeting with those new hires, getting their feedback on what they think of TUA, because they're new to it, and I'll ask, what's one thing you would change, or so we bring all the new hires into a group meeting, and then we'll have all the VPs have a weekly departmental meeting now. So the VPs will get into a room with their supervisors, and it's kind of just an open floor where they discuss any and everything that's going on, any issues. Supervisor meetings. We definitely want to build our leadership from within. So I would say every quarter, we probably need to get a little better at this, but we're having supervisor meetings. Sometimes we'll discuss books that we've read or other issues that are going on, but we get all of our supervisors in and try to build them up. And I mentioned the informational boards, the TVs throughout the building. So the scholarships, everyone's aware of this, but I wanted to make everyone aware of the amount and the students. So Bronson Bunch, $7,500 scholarship. Zoe John, $7,500 scholarship. Zyler Spinner, $2,500. Lindsay Evie, $2,500. Christopher Burden, $2,500. And Caitlin Brown, $2,500. Caitlin Brown is actually an intern here back in the fiber department. So it was kind of neat to be able to give a scholarship to one of our interns. So that was the first $25,000 worth of scholarships this year. Okay, system growth. So last year, Brian came to me pretty quickly and said, we're running out of IP addresses. And we had approximately 6,100 IP addresses that we could use on our system. Well, we have 4,800 customers right now. So, and some of those customers have multiple IP addresses. So you can see the issue with that. So we had a couple options. Buy more IP addresses, which are really, really expensive right now because they're in high demand. They don't make any more of them. You know, it's one of them things that they actually have a limit. Or buy a piece of equipment, CGNAT, which is carrier grade network address translator. So, yeah, see, I hate Bush is not here. He's really a fan of the acronyms. Now the maximum, what's the maximum you can do? 64 to 1?
Oh, no, it's like 118.
Oh, you can do 118 to 1. Okay. Well, what this means is you can say we're doing an 8 to 1 translation. So basically, we're taking 8 IPv4 addresses, which is what the world uses the United States uses right now, and convert IP6 addresses, and converting that to IP4 addresses. So we're using 8 to 1, so we automatically have 48,000 IP addresses. So I don't know that anyone in this room will be around long enough to see us use all those. Because remember, we have 4,800 customers right now. So this eliminated any possible risk that we were at for running out of IP addresses. Yep.
If we were to have a business that came in that required a bunch of our power that we have looked at in times past, would they take up a big amount of IP addresses?
They could, but not necessarily. So you're trying to relate electricity to IP.
Well, the business that I'm thinking about required tons of electricity, but it involved farming, Bitcoin stuff.
Okay, bit mining.
Bit mining, yes.
Yeah, bit mining. Ooh, that's a good question.
Does bit mining use a bunch of IP addresses?
I guess it would use, here's the thing, and Brian may help me out with this, but we could provide an IP address to get to the internet. Internally, they can have
Whatever.
unlimited, not unlimited, but we wouldn't provide the addresses. They can provide their own addresses because they're private network addresses. Is that accurate, Brian?
That's correct.
Well, what I was thinking is, would they, if something in that big an operation, would they take 24,000 of those out?
No, they would have their own private network.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But remember, this 8 to 1, we could go 12 to 1, 16 to 1. We could have, the number was in the millions of IP addresses that we could provide now using this technology. So we did that.
We won't run out.
We will not run out of IP addresses.
Okay, good.
No, we will not run out of IP addresses. So that was what's been in place, 6 or 7 months now?
Yes.
So we got that in place in the head end. Electrically, this is over, I don't know how well you can tell where we are, but you're over on East Moore Street in Roosevelt. Think East Middle School to the north there in that open area. So what this project, and they'll be wrapped up with this project probably by July 1, I would say. If not, they'll be really close. But the big deal about this project is we're adding a piece of automation to our system. The example I would give is, if you see, it's kind of small, but recloser 2601. Right now, if we had an outage on breaker 264, you would lose about 1,500 customers. They'd be out in the dark until we got out there and found out what was going on. In July, once this is implemented, we'll have an automation scheme, and then we'll automatically, without rolling a truck, pick up 522 of those customers. So basically 1/3 of the circuit automatically back up before we ever even roll a truck. And what it does for the other circuit, 254, we already have automation on it, but the system's so smart where if a section is overloaded, say there's too many amps on the wire, the system's smart enough to know, hey, take a different path. So what this does is give that circuit, 254, a different path to auto restore. So this was in our 5-year plan. We're actually ahead of schedule on it. It was supposed to be done in FY26, so we'll be finished with that hopefully before July 1. Also, there's not a slide, but I will talk about Summerlin, because the Bowman just passed the TIF, I hope I'm saying that right, which is a potential of, let's just say 1,000 new meters. 300 apartments, 300 townhomes, and 300 residential homes. So we don't have a slide on this, but we're well prepared for this. We had meetings today. We have the design basically finalized on getting a new circuit out to Summerlin. Now, we don't have to get a new circuit out there next year or the year after, because this is going to be, from my understanding, a 10 plus year process to get that development finished. But we're staying ahead of the game, and we need some extra capacity out there anyway. So we will be working in FY26 on circuit 394 and a new circuit, which will be 324, out to the north end of town. Like I said, the design is basically finalized, and we'll be working on that after July. Workforce recruitment and retention. This was something that I was really oblivious to, I believe, until last June timeframe when I started looking at these numbers. And when you look, it's kind of, you take a step back, because we have 20 employees that are 55 plus. So that's really 20 employees that could retire at any time. Then if you break it down by 60 plus, you're still at a high number of 12. So we've really been working hard to get people trained and prepared to fill these spots. And that goes back to our supervisor meetings internally. We want to build from within. And then the last graph there shows hire by department, and obviously it correlates with the needs as people prepare for retirement. A couple of outliers is we hired safety. I put it off by himself, and then a dispatcher who works for all departments. She's off by herself there in that slide. So last week, I built this slide. It's our turnover rate for FY25, considering we make it through June. This is to date, but consider we make it through the month of June. 6.8%. That includes 4 people deciding to leave. They no longer want to work at TUA, 1 retirement, and 1 TUA decision. So 6 people in a year, with our 88, 89 employees that we normally maintain, 6.8% turnover rate. Did a little research, and I believe most companies similar to us are around 15%. So the feedback I got is that's a good turnover rate. Now, would we like to see it lower? Absolutely. I think we'll see that lower, I hope, in FY26. But obviously, if you go back, can I go back? If you go back to this chart, you're going to probably see some high turnover rates when you put it into percentage because of the people retiring. Retirements are part of turnover.
Let me ask you, when employees leave, like 4 employees leave, do we do exit interviews, or do we try to capture any information?
Yes.
Okay.
The 4 that left, Shay does a great job at that, and then I also will try to have an exit interview with them.
Okay. And are you collecting that data as far as the inputs?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Those 4, I can about sum it up. One wanted to go back to school.
Okay.
Oh, you don't want to know. I had it demonstrated.
No,
let's hear it.
Yeah.
One is returning to school. One has a very busy family life, so they needed something that wasn't full time. One, we didn't get an exit interview because he just kind of quit.
Okay.
And then the 4th was the guy that we hired as a civil engineer that was going to be brought up to learn under Dale, and he was relocating from Connecticut, and he decided Tennessee wasn't the right state for him.
Okay.
So I'm really satisfied, at the data of why people are choosing not to work here.
Sure. It's more important, not immediately,
Yeah.
but as time goes on. And was there prior data that was collected from when Brian was here?
I will say the data is not as good prior to
Okay.
then.
Okay,
This-
so over time, that's gonna be
That-
very
yes.
good. And of course, it will be, you'll be able to categorize it by position, a
That's
lot
right,
of things.
yes.
So when you get enough data, it'll be something you could use if needed to try to change things as far as that type of thing.
I will say though, the turnover rate historically is very low.
I know,
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't want to say that they weren't doing a good job of tracking,
right,
but when you got 2 or 3 people leaving a year, it's just like,
yeah,
okay, you know, you shouldn't be like that, but
No, it
we're-
shouldn't.
we're doing a better job of
Right.
tracking it.
okay.
So, workplace culture. So, really what I wanted to dive into on this is, you know, how do we get to where we're going with the culture is the interview process and back to building from within, you know, and you all determine our core values. So, and then we have added, you know, humble, hungry, and smart. I know you all have heard it over and over and over. So we're building from within, and then the interview process is, you know, the first interview is really they'll ask them all the technical questions for the job. What if it's a, you know, a fiber technician or whatever? They're asking them, you know, can you do the job? How much training you had? And then the second interview is I'll come in and really drill into, you know, the core value questions and the humble, hungry, and smart questions. And you really learn a lot, you know, from those people. And you act like, you know, sometimes you forget that they're also interviewing you. So when you're asking these questions, you may ask questions that they're like, hey, I'm not humble, hungry, and smart, and I don't want to work here. So it kind of solves, it works itself out. But it's very important, in my opinion, to get those into the interview process because you don't want people surprised about what culture they're coming into and what culture we're trying to build here. And obviously, developing from within, we talk about our core values and those traits in every team meeting that we have. Work schedule. I would consider this part of recruitment and retention. Most have the option, and many take advantage of the option now, of a 980 work schedule, which is you work 80 hours in 9 days. So on the Thursday that you're off on Friday, you work an 8-hour day. So basically you're off every other Friday and you work every other Friday. That's the 980s. Any questions about the 980 work schedule?
How long has this been implemented?
980s, we started 980s last, the guinea pigs, if you will, were the line crew. So that was last, headed into fall, is that right?
I was thinking September.
Yeah, so September's time frame. And it's, I will tell you what, you know, Brad and Brian and some of the people that are more involved with the crews now can chime in here, but I think we're getting more work done because they appreciate the every other Friday off, so they're working harder to be sure they get to keep that.
So the feedback's been positive.
Oh, yes.
Very positive.
Better have.
We have 2 fiber TSRs that work a 4-10 schedule. The fiber TSRs have to, you know, they have more hours to cover because we're here till, we're staffed to 8 p.m. With our fiber TSRs opening, with taking calls. So 2 of those work a 4-10 schedule. And then along with that benefit is 2 of the days they work completely from home. So this example here, this team member works Thursday and Friday in the office, 10 to 8, and then Saturday, Sunday from home, 10 to 8. Is that accurate, Brian? I think I got the hours right. Yep. So, that's how we are, I guess you would call them the guinea pigs for work from home. I think this can be done in other areas. One is a comfortability issue, but we're testing it out with the fiber TSRs. Questions about that? Okay, upgrading our customer experience. Obviously, NISC's the driver of that. not the driver of that, it's the solution to that. The driver of that is we want to improve the customer experience. So here's just a timetable. We've really been screaming this from the rooftop for a year to get ready and how demanding and challenging it's going to be. So now we are basically in June, and NISC, they've been on site, they've looked at our processes, the financial processes, and then just last week, they weren't on site, but they spent the week with Jason, and Shay remotely diving into the next steps for financials. And then the financials will be complete, supposed to be complete and go live in September of 25. Now, the whole enterprise software will take another year. So that'll be next August of 2026. The other large project is the AMI. So we're basically 38 to 40% complete with the AMI upgrade. There's a map that shows in green the neighborhoods where all the AMI meters, the new AMI meters are. So 4,000 meters out of 11,000 roughly have been changed out. It's a supply chain issue. We could have the meters changed out, but that project will not wrap up until probably January of 26, just because of the supply chain issue. So, probably in January, when Emma did her strategic plan overview, I was geared up and prepared to come to the board and say, hey, we're ready. You know, we want some more, we want to collaborate on more ideals. And then since I've kind of stepped back and realized that what we are tackling here in this next year is going to be very, very challenging, because it's two projects that if we were going to do this today, I would say, hey, we need to do one and then the other. Now, because of the way things worked out, we're doing both of these projects simultaneously, and it's no easy task. Jason's team and Brian's team, thank goodness they have a great team, and they've been phenomenal at work. But I'm calling our rallying cry for the next 18 months is to get these projects done successfully, because it involves everything from billing to engineering, and you know, we have 90 people that work here, and it's all hands on deck, because when you're talking about meters and billing, it's very, very challenging. So 18 months, let us get through this successfully. That's why I think now I look back and I remember Danette saying 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And I think, you know, we'll be a little bit ahead of 3 years, but 18 more months to get through these two large projects before we really want to tackle anything too large at this point.
Well, remember, you know, the plan is not, you know, the award goes for the speakers.
Right.
You know, the award goes to, you know, it's a living plan, right?
That's right.
A living plan that can be adjusted. It doesn't hardly ever impact the critical things that the plan is trying to accomplish, but it's more important to let the things take root, make sure it's right, and that we're measuring it, and so we can change as we need it to, not to try to say, this is what we said we're going to do, and wham, you know, that's not the goal, right?
That's right.
Goal is a success, right? And if it takes 3-4 months longer or whatever, great. As long as the plan is still viable,
Yeah.
beneficial, and we're doing it. So I think our words, because it's kind of hard to say sometimes, you know, when you present this is what something is and come back and say, hey, we're going to have to slow this thing down. You know, so, you know, I think it's good. I think it's good realizing that, you know, this is going to take time. It's a lot of work on our staff. I think it's great.
Yeah, I just wanted to you know, as I was reviewing our strategic plan and then reviewing the update we gave,
Right.
you know, what was the number? You said it out. It was 83 or 86% complete. So what I'm warning is the next 14%, is gonna be at a turtle's pace. So no, we're still doing really great on the strategic plan,
Right.
but it's hard to describe these projects. I mean, we're taking processes that have been done here for, well, since CUA was created.
Right.
And training people not only to use a new software, but to know the why of the process. You know, they know how to push the button, they don't really know why. So we're changing processes, we're changing the softwares, and then the AMI on top of it. It's just, it's a lot that they're doing, and I'm super proud of them. I mean, Jason's team and Brian's team are doing a heck of a job with it. Any questions about, I think it's my last slide. Yeah.
If I can, I do wanna, I'm gonna go back to, talk about the quarterly supervisor meetings and
Yeah.
the things that are covered. I do wanna ask, is it part of the normal quarterly meeting to also, is that any time used to discuss how these supervisors, their branches, their sections, how they impact the short-term goals and do you talk about that with them?
So that's probably a topic that you would hear more in an all-employee meeting like we'll have tomorrow morning, is because, one, I'm a believer that really our team should be the first to know anything that's going on. They
Right.
shouldn't pick it up in the newspaper. So we're very transparent on what our goals are. And I
Right.
feel like you could go to anybody, any of our team members and say, hey, what's the two most important things? And I think they would all say NISC and AMI. So I think what the topic you're speaking of has probably happened more of an all-employee meeting. The supervisor meetings are us talking about our core values, the humble, hungry, and smart, and building those supervisors up to be better leaders at TUA.
Okay. Okay, so let me ask another question. So as you're presenting this today and where we're at, and we look at, the short-term goals and how we're accomplishing, where is the conversation that's talked about how and what we're tracking in the management to see where we're at and how they're impacting these goals or objectives and it's below the vice presidents, has to be, because it's, right?
The way in my opinion, that we are operating is, this board sets the vision,
Right.
right? And then I see this vision through, and then I pass it down to my direct reports.
Right.
And then the reason they have their weekly meetings now, that they started last year, is they pass it to the supervisors. And then the supervisors, in turn, pass it down to each team member.
Right.
So it's bi-directional communication, right?
Right.
From top to the bottom, bottom to the top. I'm not sure if that's answering.
I think it is. All I'm missing is so how you assess and track and measure where we're at and how this is happening
So
or not happening.
are you specifically talking to the core values and the traits?
Well,
Because
no. Actually, as it's laid out, we got the strategic objectives and all that, the values,
yeah.
that. And then you have the specific things that you want to accomplish in the strategic objectives that are measurable. And the way that they happen is actually about people working in these departments, sections. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I better
key
understand where you're
indicators,
going.
right? Okay. So is that part of the supervisors meeting? Is that
It is not. So
Okay.
what I realized really early on into the strategic plan is, well, one, now, each objective in that strategic plan, there's like an owner of it.
right?
But where I don't know if I'd use the word failed early on, is a lot of these initiatives are management heavy,
right.
other than the customer service part.
Right.
So we could do a better job. We could have done a better job delegating some of the work out.
Well, and I don't know. You had to do a better job.
Well, getting more people involved with buy-in to the strategic plan.
We'll talk offline.
We'll talk offline.
I don't see any reason, I don't have any thought that the plan, we're not meeting the plan. I'm
No,
not.
I don't take it as that. I mean,
Okay. My question was, we talk about things that are covered in your, because it's in the strategic plan, and you talk about things that are covered in your supervisor's meetings. I know you have your upper management meetings,
Yeah.
but in line of tracking along or how we're accomplishing things that we have put values on to accomplish and track. All that rolls down somehow into the workforce playing a part in doing this.
Well, I will speak to the values and the humble, hungry, and smart. And every team member is graded, for lack of a better term, on that. We did that in January. To the specific objectives we had is, you build partnership, community partnerships.
Right.
And internal communication. Those objectives are really, that starts with me.
It does.
And then Emma building the partnerships, but the internal communication, this plan was heavy management focused, I believe.
Right,
Is the right way to say
it is. This is a strategic plan, so it's gonna be heavy.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just not communicating. It's fine, we'll talk offline.
We'll talk offline.
All right, thank you.
Can you give us a little insight into how the all-employee meeting is conducted?
Yeah, I can. It's normally conducted around food. Tomorrow,
Can Mike go?
most of it. Tomorrow, you're invited. Tomorrow we will not be having breakfast. But it's really what I would consider a laid back all employee meeting where I'll go in and then I'll give. Now tomorrow's going to be short because you got one agenda item, but I'll I'll inform our team of every agenda item that you all took action on. Okay, and then I'll ask all my direct reports, do you have anything to add? And then we just open up the floor really to discussing any questions, concerns, comments they have. And so they're usually an hour or so long. And then sometimes we'll even make it a game. We use a program called Kahoots, and we'll do quizzes, TUA history or policies or strategic plan, and whoever who gets the most points wins a prize. So they're made to be interactive. I think, is that the right word? Yeah, interactive.
That's good. I think it's great that you open up the floor
Yeah.
to anybody who wants to say something. The lines of communication just are very much encouraged. That's great.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I'm in the board meeting.
No, you're all right.
Good.
We're good.
Anybody need
I
a break?
apologize, I was the one that kept you up there.
Any of the board members need a break? Can we push right on? I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Tullahoma Utilities Authority, May 27th, 2025. First thing on the agenda is approving the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
We got a proper motion and a second. Anybody have any questions about the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any oppositions? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Next item up is approval of the previous meeting minutes. Can I get a motion there?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A proper motion and a second. Anybody have any questions about the previous meeting minutes? Everybody likes how they look? Seeing none, all in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, that also passes
other employee back there. Very fortunate that Alan wanted to work at TUA. He comes from Great Lakes Cheese, where he was there for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
Worked in shipping and receiving, so it's like it's a natural fit for him, and I'll quit stealing his thunder.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a local. I grew up on West Wagner Street in Johnson Lane. A couple of guys, I went to school with Mr. JT and Mr. Lester's sons. I graduated with them, and Coach Stanton was there.
They ain't said too much, they're not gonna hire you for long after that.
I worked at Worth before it closed, which I know about a lot of people know about that place, and I've been trying to get back to Tullahoma for a few years, and here I am.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yes, sir.
it.
Picture.
Picture?
Personally, I'd like to say that I'm glad to see Alan. I've known his family for years and years and known Alan for a long time, so welcome, Alan, glad to see you.
Thank you, Mr.
They take you to the
Thanks, Sarah.
All right.
If you went to school with us.
Hey,
Yeah.
Aged well.
Sons.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm as good as dead.
I'll say one more thing about Alan, and it was pointed out to me, is Emma now posts all of our new hires on Facebook, and I think he nearly broke Facebook.
I think he broke a record.
He had many, and a lot from people that I know, positive comments on how good of a person he is, so I'm thrilled that he's here.
Good deal.
That in the culture.
Okay, next we have our new fiber tech, Tyler Keener. So Tyler, when Brian moved up, Christopher, we've had some openings back in the fiber department, and we've been patient in filling these jobs, but we interviewed, I think they interviewed 10 to 15 people, and we ended up hiring 2. The next one will be coming up, but they both did a phenomenal interview and met all of our humble, hungry, and smart, from what we could gather from the interview. And we're thrilled to have Tyler here with us.
Tell us about yourself, Tyler.
I'm originally born and raised in McMinnville, which
Right.
it's a little bit further away. I actually found this job opening through Facebook, so luckily Facebook has done me some good this time. I have recently moved closer to Manchester. I have had previous experience with Tullahoma Connect as a contractor for 2 or 3 years, so I already brought previous experience, and that was a positive. So I'm glad to be here, glad to have the opportunity to serve Tullahoma.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope you're here for a long time.
I hope so too.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
My wife came from McMinnville. JT.
I was born in McMinnville.
Yeah. Good things come from McMinnville.
Last but not least, Sammy Wiley. Sammy has worked on our fiber system previous with a contractor, so he's familiar with our system. And Sammy, you come up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Sammy Wiley. I've been doing telecom since about 2008. Whenever y'all first started building the backbone, I worked for the contractors over here. And I always wanted to try to work for y'all, but my stepdad worked here and had to wait till he retired. So given this opportunity, it's just a blessing.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Pictures and all.
I'll say one more thing for Tyler and Sammy is that you all been working about, what, a month or 2?
Month.
1 month.
A little over a month. Yeah.
I was informed today or at some point recently that, I don't know if they were on the job together, but a customer wrote in just bragging on how professional and good they were at their job and getting the customers installed, so we appreciate that. So we're already getting good feedback from our customers, from Sammy and Tyler.
Good deal.
Y'all feel free to stay, but you don't have to stay.
Next item under recognition is, we looked earlier where we gave out the scholarships, and I think we got thank you letters from all these guys, and I'll read these to you. Dear Scholarship Committee, I'm writing to sincerely thank you for awarding me a $2,500 scholarship. I'm honored to be chosen and truly grateful for your support of my education. As a professional pilot student, this scholarship greatly helps me to cover the costs associated with my training and coursework. Your generosity not only eases the financial burden, but also inspires me to work hard and achieve my goals in aviation. Thank you again for this incredible support. It means a great deal to me. Sincerely, Zyler Spinner.
My neighbor.
Yeah, good deal. Dear TUA Scholarship Committee, I'm very blessed and honored that I was even able to make it as a finalist of this scholarship. All 4 of my high school years have gone towards this moment. Thank you for this beautiful blessing that you have given me. It means so much. Your investment into my future will help take me where I want to go. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Sincerely, Bronson Bunch. Next letter. Dear Scholarship Committee at TUA, I'm writing to express my sincere gratitude for awarding me the $2,500 scholarship. I'm truly honored to have been selected, and I want to thank you for your generosity and support. This scholarship will make a meaningful difference in helping me cover many of my educational expenses, and it brings me one step closer to reaching my academic and professional goals in the field of graphic design. I'm excited about the opportunities ahead and am deeply appreciative of the confidence you have shown in me. Thank you again for your investment in my future. Sincerely, Christopher Burton. Nice letter. Next letter. Dear TUA Light Tube Committee, I'm truly honored and grateful to be selected as a recipient of the TUA Light Tube Scholarship in the amount of $7,500. Receiving this award means more to me than words can fully express, and I sincerely thank you for your generosity and support. This scholarship is not just financial assistance, it is an investment in my future. It will play a significant role in helping me attend Maryville College, the school I've dreamed of being a part of for years. With this support, I'm now one step closer to pursuing my educational goals and building a career that allows me to give back to my community in meaningful ways. Your belief in my potential inspires me to work hard, stay focused, and make the most of the opportunities ahead. Thank you once again for helping make this journey possible. With gratitude, Zoe Johns. Next letter, TUA Light Tubers. Thank you so much for making a difference in our community with the partnerships at THS. I've appreciated my work experience and will continue to learn over the summer in the fiber department. This scholarship will allow me to focus my education at Tennessee Tech University and pursue my passion in cybersecurity. I appreciate you all. Caitlin Brown. I think we got one more. To TUA, I cannot express how grateful I am to receive your incredibly generous scholarship. Since being a child, I always knew I was going to college, but knowing how little money we had, it only felt like a dream. Now, I'm living in reality, but because of yourself and many others, the burden of cost will not be mine alone to bear. I will now go off to an unfamiliar place, but Tullahoma will always be my home because of the people like you. People who care, who try to help those in need, people who do not let others struggle alone. I am forever grateful. Lindsay Everett. Very nice letters.
I say these sound like Tullahoma High School grads.
Yes.
Very articulate.
Yes.
Yes.
Very articulate.
Thank you for the English department of Bel Air, Farrah, Robert E. Lee, and East Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
West Middle School, East Middle School, Tullahoma High School. But once a frog, always a frog.
That's right.
I want to say about scholarships.
You want to say something?
Yeah.
Tell it.
I just want to, we owe a big thanks to our Light Tube customers, because this is a Light Tube scholarship, fully funded TUA Light Tube. So this is what happens when you shop local and keep your money local, is we give back to the community. So a huge thanks to our Light 2 customers for funding this.
And also the scholarship committee, I'd like to thank
Yeah.
them for, going through, I don't know how many applications we had, probably a few.
18.
18. So, this is our
First year.
first year. The more this gets out there, next year there'll probably be 50, Just kids. There'll be some buzz to it.
Especially with a significant amount of money attached to
Yeah.
scholarships.
All right,
Yeah, two
well,
of those were $7,500 each.
next, next thing up on the agenda is our specific agenda action item is consider approval of the FY '26 budget on second reading. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I got a proper motion and a second. Now I'm gonna turn it over to the president to discuss our whichever one of y'all.
So you all passed the first reading last month. There's been very minimal changes to the budget. If you have questions about the changes or want Jason to quickly cover them.
Jason, could you go over those real quick?
Yeah.
The changes, I appreciate it.
So, the changes we had is for the insurance, we didn't get the quote in time, so we had to kind of estimate, we reached out to distributors and asked, how much we expect. So that change is in here.
Okay.
And that was between 5 and 10%, so we went with 10 to be safe. And then we had support costs that we did not expect to incur for Microsoft. So we had that, we had to add in. We had our short-term loan. We really didn't know until here recently how much we're going to have to use to pay for our AMI system that we're putting in, because we've been paying for it out of our reserve fund. So we're at the point now where it's time we're going to make a decision. We want to do it in one lump sum instead of taking multiple draws off the line of credit. Makes it a little easier to track. So we put that in there. And then that's mainly the stuff we had. We had a couple things in the wastewater system, our I&I study, the master plan, and the expansion plan. We still have some remaining funds we're going to have to spend on that, but most of those are being reimbursed.
Overall, how much?
Overall, for the electric system was $342,000, which was part of that is the loan and the interest. That's the majority of that. $19,000 for the water system, $251,000 for the wastewater system, which was mainly due to the studies, and then about $81,000 for the fiber system.
Do we have the money for that?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
we-
always the big question.
Yes.
I noticed too, payroll increased, but we've increased employees.
Yes, we have.
So-
And, yep, that is correct.
Y'all understand when we hire them?
Yeah.
It's gonna work for free.
All-time high now, employees,
We're at 89.
89.
I don't know, do you know the all-time? I would say 90 or 91, because I know Brian Skelton fairly well. Yeah, and he liked numbers in the 80s. So,
Anybody else have any questions? Thanks you for going over that.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any other questions?
I want to speak to that one more time. The employees, is what you're going to see is a bell curve. You're going to see our employees increase, because we can't wait till people are 1 foot out the door to hire their replacement. But within ISC, and as people retire, you'll see the number dip back down.
If we have the ability, it's very important to get people trained.
Yes.
You can't have a workforce like this with this age and wait till people retire to hire replacements, because there will not be replacements.
Yep.
Effectively replacements, so.
Anything else? We got a proper motion and a second. All in favor of approving the FY '26 budget on second reading, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, that passes unanimously. We'll move right on into committee reports. I don't think we have anything from the policy committee. Nothing from the policy committee. Anything from the rate committee?
No, sir.
Swing and a miss on the rate committee. Now we'll go to departmental reports. Tell us all about it.
I'll do my
Please.
best.
right, so if you look in your package, you have our March financials, so we have got March closed out. We are working to close out April, and we'll present those at the next board meeting. It gives us time to make sure we get everything paid in the correct month. Audit work, it has started. Auditors were here today, one of them was here. So we've been compiling data, and thanks to Jason for coordinating the data, pulling the documents that they need. And they'll be out here for a couple of days for the preliminary testing, and then they'll be back out in August. So that's ongoing. AMI project, we're working really closely across departments. I know I do a lot with Brad and Joseph, and he deals a lot with me. And everything seemed to be going pretty good. Just working out little kinks here and there that we, maybe didn't expect or expected, and just maybe wasn't prepared for it. But everything seems to be working really well with the AMI change out. Like you said, if we had 10,000 meters here, we probably have them changed by the end of the month. I mean, that process is like a well-oiled machine, so they're doing really well on that. NISC project, we had NISC out for, they didn't come out, they virtually came out, and they converted our data, and then what they did was they pulled up our data in the system, and we started setting the background items up, so it's the configuration. So that was pretty interesting, and it was the first time we've really got in to the software. Not just watching videos, but actually getting in the software. So Jason's been working diligently on that to make sure that we've got everybody set up and we're prepared to not only watch videos and train, but also get in and test and see how the processes work. That's the best way for it to really go smoothly. Budget presentation, preparation of it, that's been ongoing for since February, so it's a very long process. A lot of meetings with our department heads, and Jason was in all of them, and I have to give all the credit to Jason for working on this, as I've been focusing on the AMI and census conversion. So all I had to do was check a few numbers for him and do some testing, and other than that, that's all I got.
Question about the AMI.
Yes.
It's a legit, the receiving, we have orders in for these?
Yes.
Have we paid for them yet?
I don't know how that, are we paying as we get them, or?
As we get them, we pay. They invoice us.
Where are they made here?
Yes. But I think some of the parts may come from, so. Yeah.
Overseas?
Yes.
So we may incur higher costs?
Yes, we will.
They did send us notification on that, but most of the stuff is here. Really what we're waiting on is the different type meters. We've been getting a lot of the 2S, which is primarily residential, so. That's why you've seen the green dots over like in the Bragg Circle area.
Yeah.
We really went through and made sure.
So we've done how many have we done?
4,000.
And how many we have to do, 11?
11,000.
So we're not quite a third, maybe a little over a
A
third.
little over there.
What do you do with the old meters?
Throw them in the garbage.
That is exactly
Can it
right.
be recycled?
They recycle.
These are recycled.
I mean, can we go to?
I'm seriously. We went to, where did we get them?
Maryland.
Maryland?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts to get these.
Yeah.
Because they were the only system basically in America that had the meters that we needed. And they retired them, so we had to go buy them last year.
Retired one?
Yeah, and I'll bring this up too. We're talking about the AMI conversion and NISC going at the same time. The reason this came about is, our AMI system basically told us
Yeah, they were done.
We're done.
we're
They
done.
were
So
done, I remember
this
that.
all just kind of
Happened.
hit at one time. So
Good.
and I think as a staff here, as a company, we really took this on. I just want to say that, and really took it on and not missed a beat. Really.
That's really
Well,
good.
good.
I have experienced management change systems 3 times, and every time's a learning curve. And I commend you all for taking the challenge, because what you're sold a lot of the time ain't exactly what you get. So good
That is
job.
correct.
Thank you.
The AMI system will be much better. We were forced into it, but it's going to be a great tool and partner within ISC and our outage management
What's the
systems.
expected life of it?
10 to 15 years. And that's any digital meter you get, So that's why we really don't test residential meters anymore,
Right.
is when they go bad, you change them out.
And we're gonna have them done all at one time, then, if you're dealing,
No, I'll speak for the Mueller meters is, well, you will see larger groups of them go bad later.
that's what I'm saying.
You know, later.
We probably need to consider that in our depreciation.
Yeah, they have a lot, we consider the 10 to 15 year lifespan, and then what we've started in the water system is, we've started putting funds back
That's
to
exactly good.
replace it, because we know.
Yeah.
And I think it's been this was our first go-around with AMI, not this one, but the Mueller system, so I think we've learned a lot from that over the last 12 to 13 years, maybe, 2012?
I'll try not to get too technical on AMI, but it's, in my mind, the Cadillac of AMI is because, like currently, our AMI system, it'll get a meter and it may hop to your next door neighbor's meter, to their meter, and then to a collector, to our fiber. The way the new AMI system works is every meter, each individual meter talks to a collector. There's only going to be 3 of them, one on 3 different water tanks, and then to our fiber system. So there's no hops. And if one of those collectors goes down, it automatically goes to another collector. So there's no worry about, if you go out and pull a meter, you've lost the data or the hop.
Because that's what we've had to plan for with this AMI conversion, is making sure we're not losing the paths.
Good.
All right. Emma?
So a couple things this last month. We participated in Career Day at Bel Air Elementary School, so we took a bucket truck and we had a couple linemen out there to talk to the students about careers in line work, which was really exciting. It was a good opportunity, I think, to introduce those students to the work that they do and connect it to kind of their everyday lives, and I'll say hopefully inspire the next generation of utility workers. In May, we hosted our annual drinking water celebration, which was a good chance to recognize those water crews that provide that safe and reliable drinking water for our community every day. And we also celebrated Wastewater Professionals Appreciation Day on May 22nd, so another essential role that they play in protecting the health and environment of our community. We had a team participate in the Chamber's golf tournament, which was a good opportunity to network with other businesses. I heard that they did really well. I don't know exactly where they placed, but it was
We were first. But tied for first.
Oh,
4-way tie, we finished 4th.
okay.
Scorecard.
Scorecard playoff.
4 of us recently graduated from the Coffee County Leadership Program, so that was Kyle Riddle, Brad Zill, Ricky Tucker, and myself. And I can say from experience, it was a great experience for us to learn a little bit more about leadership, economic development, and just kind of the broader needs of Coffee County. I had the opportunity to participate in APPA's Communications Roundtable. So this was my first experience with that communications group of professionals from all across the country. And there was a lot of really great ideas that I was able to take away on some innovative ways to communicate the work we do and the value of what we do to both our customers and the community. Our Light 2 broadcasting team aired the high school graduation ceremony again this year, and I know that's something that the team is really proud of, to be able to provide both for families who maybe couldn't make it or families from out of the area. So a huge congratulations to the Tullahoma class of 2025. And then lastly, we wrapped up our spring sports broadcasting season, and just a special congrats to the Tullahoma High School baseball team for making it to the state tournament this year. I know it's really exciting for us to see our local athletes succeed in that way, and our broadcasting team is extremely proud to be able to provide that to a larger audience through our local programming. So that is all I have for today.
Thank you.
Got a couple of brief subdivision updates. The Pine Subdivision Country Club, all the equipment is installed, all the conductor has been pulled and has been terminated. The fiber install, I believe, should be the install completed today. We will still have splicing to do to get all that turned up. Sagewood Subdivision, the developer is installing their own conduit there, and it is 85% complete as of this point. They are out of conduit and they're waiting on more inventory, so I think they were going to jump over on some other projects within that subdivision. Legacy Preserve on Ledford Mill is 100% complete, and we've already set meters on the first set of the townhouses. These are going to come in buildings of 8. It is poised for 64, I believe, is the number of townhomes. So I may not update it all on Legacy anymore, but it is 100% complete. We will turn them up as they build them. You've already heard of the AMI update. We're at 4,061 meters. We have kind of slowed down just due to inventory and shipping. We did just get another shipment of roughly 1,086, so this will be able to probably another 3 weeks maybe. We're averaging probably 400 a week when we have the full crews on them, so we can knock them out pretty quick. As Mr. Potter talked, the East Moore Reconduct, we've set all the new poles. We've taken down some old system and getting ready to pull the new conductor through there. That was slated for today, but the weather has just pushed us off for a day or two. Upcoming projects, we've had a couple of plats and plans turned in. I believe everyone's heard of the Lincoln Station on East Lincoln Street. Throneberry Apartments is going to be a 44-unit apartment complex on Cedar Lane next to NHC. Springbrook, which is on Avoca Road, is we have design and everything ready for these, but a lot of these, like the Springbrook, the developer has not started any construction. Lincoln Station, they have started clearing the land, but we are ready. Materials have been, for those who have signed the subdivision agreements, materials have been ordered. Safety-wise, we've got some new bulletin boards hanging in the crew lounge. Eric Burton has completed a revised addition to the TUA emergency response plans, which added an active shooter program. We've got CPR training set up for June 2nd and 3rd for 2 classes each day. We did have a TOSHA site inspection last week. It went well. There were just 2 minor violations, and both those have been corrected, and the submittal to those corrections has been sent in. And fiber was +7 for the month of April. We just did some various upgrades to systems within the fiber area, and everyone was introduced to our 2 new fiber techs, and again, as Alan said, we have already gotten complimentary phone calls on the both of them. They are fitting in very well. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just want to give you an update on a couple of projects we have going on. The Avoca Force Main and Pump Station project is nearing completion. The pump station was put in operation on May 16th, and the Force Main and Pump Station are operational. There's still a short section of the Force Main that needs a little additional work done on it. And there's some other minor work that's yet to be done. We hope to get that wrapped up in a couple of weeks. This project was a state SFR loan project, and it's a very lengthy process. We started working on this in 2021, so we're happy this job is almost completed. The East Lincoln Waterline project is progressing. This project consists of replacing decades-old failing pipeline with new PVC pipe. It consists of 8-inch and 6-inch pipe, and just under 2,000 feet of a total 58 feet has been installed, so we're just it's about 1/3 complete. We hope to wrap this project up by the end of the summer. Brian mentioned the subdivisions. In subdivisions, the developer installs the water sewer lines. So they are working at Sagewood. I think the sewer is near completion. The Pines water sewer has been completed for a few months now. Stillwater subdivision, the developer's working on water and wastewater lines in there. And Lincoln Station will be started soon. We've had pre-construction conference with the developer and the contractor, so we're ready for that to start. Springbrook, they're still a ways off, but they'll be starting probably this summer sometime. That's all I have.
Thank you.
What's the status of the conversion from copper to PVC lines? I know that's a massive project.
You talk about
Yeah.
the service lines?
To
Yeah, we went in and replaced, we looked at every service line on every customer's line, our side and the customer's side. In any place that we found like galvanized on our side, we replaced it. So it's either copper or plastic on our side. The customer side, we couldn't do anything about, but we surveyed every single customer service line, and that's what we had to report. And we had found nothing that we would have to follow the rules of the new lead and copper rule, service line rule. It's very complicated. They've got things going on 10 years in the future that you will have to do.
Sure.
But you'll be retired then.
I'll be retired, yeah. Waiting for that.
So those only have to be replaced when they break, though, the ones that are...
On our side, with the ones that we found, galvanized was kind of in a special classification. It could have been classified as a lead-containing service line.
Right.
So when we found those on our side, we replaced every one of them. We replaced a bunch of them. So we went around to almost 11,000 meter boxes and looked at the customer side and our side service line.
Rather replace those if for whatever reason we're deemed environmentally unsafe again.
Yes.
Yes.
What about cast iron? Are these iron?
Cast iron's not used for service lines, it's used for pipelines. We have a whole lot of 6-inch cast iron lines, and
What's the expected life on those usually? Ever?
maybe 100 years.
Okay.
What we're replacing it's called transite pipe. It's like a fiberglass type pipe on East Lincoln Street, and it's failing. It was just cheap to install, and it's the end of its service life.
Anything else? Thank you. So we're going to move on into comments, board member comments. We'll start with Mr. Stanton. Tell us what you know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for putting me number one.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
In my heart.
I attended the TVPPA conference along with some of my colleagues here in Mississippi. Very interesting. One of the breakout sessions was entitled TVA Wholesale Power Contract. And I didn't realize that 70% of the country has higher electric rates than Tennessee does. 70% of the country. Hawaii pays 43 cents per kilowatt. We pay just 12.66%. Not that we're comparing ourselves to Hawaii, but I thought that's the full range of what I saw. And TVA serves 10 million residents in 7 states, which kind of interested me. There's 153 power companies, licensed power companies in the 7 states. And anyway, it's very interesting. TVA's, we should be thankful for TVA. There was one guy on the panel from Massachusetts, and he was envious of having TVA, how wonderful it would be to have TVA. And I checked out his rate. His rates are 27, almost 28 cents per kilowatt, which is more than twice as much as we pay for our electricity. Anyway, so if you move to Massachusetts, that's part of the rise in living costs. Let's see. Certainly congratulations. Emma's already said it, to the baseball team. They won 2 games in the state too, by the way. Not only did they make it, but they won 2 games. I believe that put them in the semifinals. And last year they won it, so the baseball program was really going great. Certainly congratulations to the seniors who won TUA scholarship, academic scholarships. We're proud of them and proud of TUA for making a part of the strategic plan. And thanks to the 89 employees here at TUA who day in and day out provide in a professional manner the daily routines of our utility business, whether it's handling a customer in the office or climbing a pole or replacing pipelines. We're thankful for all of you people, all of you. Let me see if there's anything else. And graduation on Light 2 was great. I watched a good part of it, and it's great. That's a great service we provide. And that's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Stanton. Mr. Northcutt.
Yes, sir. I too, like everyone at the table, my fellow board members attended the TVPPA conference. Always find something good at conferences. Talk about a couple of things that just it's going to hit us. You know, one thing is, you know, as Alan put up there, the agent organization. You know, that's a blessing. It may not be so right now as we look down the road, but that means we've retained a lot of people, not a lot of turnover, but there's a lot of knowledge that's going to be leaving. And so one of the areas was the challenge in retaining. We're not so worried about that, but recruiting a workforce. And because of what's coming for us with a lot of retirements and everything, a couple of things they talked about was the mindset of the people, the millennials. So that's not a negative. So we don't perceive it like that. But one thing that high performing organizations always have is sort of it's a challenge. Because when you have a high performing organization that's been that way for a long time, not much turnover, the culture that's been developed has to be good to sustain that. The challenge is not changing the culture. You got to keep the same culture, but that doesn't mean you lock yourself into this is the way it's always done, that we've been effective, and by God, that's the way it's going to be done, because that could be a very negative thing as we try to get new people in. People Mike's age ain't gonna change. JT's age and Emma's age. They're different. They bring a lot of knowledge, and so I was applauding in my mind as Alan has changed some of the ways that the workforce works. It's no longer by God. It's 40 hours a week or more, and there's no day. No, I don't ask for a Friday off. So I want to applaud the organization, but encourage them. I think all of us went through that, and so as there's some good nuggets in there. So as we enter the future and the workforce changes, you know, there's some things to be considerate of. The next thing I want to mention briefly is, along with that, you know, transfer of knowledge, critically important. You know, we talked about it earlier. You know, when you can't hire to replace Dale this week when he leaves. His knowledge, we have to start thinking now. We probably already have it, but we have to have a transfer of knowledge program in place. It's ongoing every day as these people get ready to leave. So those are a couple things I want to mention. I also want to thank this leadership again and this great workforce. The people that go out there every day, and you know, we hear a lot of stuff going on. Alan does a great job with the monthly report. These people are working hard. There's a lot of things going on here. We may not see the population growing as much, but there's a lot of growth going on here. A lot of changes, and this workforce is tasked every day. And every time that we have this meeting, we hear all these positive comments about this workforce. That's amazing. It's not to be taken for granted. So I want to applaud the workforce, want to applaud this leadership team. Alan, you have brought some things that really benefited this organization and will take this organization even further than it was before you got here. It's not knocking anybody in the past, Joe Loggins or Brian or anyone, because they've done good. But change was needed, and you've done a great job, and I like what you said about preparing employees from within. That's big. So that's what I have, and I hope everyone had a safe Memorial Day and spent some time in reverence to those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for us to have the life we have today. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Northcutt. Mrs. Dean?
I want to thank JT and Mike for those comments. I as well attended the APPA or the TVPPA conference.
Too many
And
PPAs.
Too many
Yeah.
T's and P's in that. Anyway, so at the panel discussion, and actually in several of the speakers and panels, to me, one of the recurring themes was just what JT was talking about is the workforce is different, and recruiting and training is a challenge. And one of the things I kept thinking of is we were able to give these scholarships to students who we saw looked like they were going to be gaining some critical skills that they potentially could bring back to the community and to TUA. So, whether they come back but it's really nice to be able to know that that's one effort that we've been able to do to support this difficulty in recruiting and training. That was just a common theme throughout the conference. So I appreciate the update on the strategic plan and how we're moving forward. It was interesting to listen to different utilities and how they're managing the challenges that we all have, whether it's Massachusetts or there was a presentation by someone from California, and I think that one person that responded to her was kind of a bless your heart moment. And we are so blessed to be in Tennessee Valley and with this amazing framework of a utility, and we really are blessed to be here. So that's all I've got.
Mr. Coleman?
Apologize for running late. To be quite honest with you, I did not see the 5 o'clock work session, so my fault. I had my granddaughter that I was keeping an eye on that I hadn't seen for a week, and I was waiting for my wife to get home, and I said, if I get here by 5:30, I can do it. But I've also had my mind quite a bit on, when you're talking about budgets, I've really been looking into the city budget, which is coming up for its first vote on Monday, and I'm going to be out of town, so I apologize for that. I was really pleased. I got TVAPPA, one of the 20 acronyms.
You messed it up.
TVA?
TVPPA.
TV. I thought I said B. Did I say
You
B?
put
Yeah,
A.
A.
It's not
Oh.
TVA, PPA. Yeah.
Well, okay, I messed up. Now it's back to
train.
whatever. I'll be honest with you. When I have to do 12 education stuff that you all have done, and the first time when I went was with Alan, which I really enjoyed the fact that I had a chance to get to know Alan a little bit more. We were in a car for an hour and a half with him. But it was more involved with kilowatts and all that stuff that really was, it was, let's just say I got 4 hours and enjoyed Alan's company. But I was very, very pleased with that conference. I have been fortunate to attend 46 conferences with my association. And I thought the keynote between the two that really was important was talking about the importance in doing things right for the customer. Customer influence, knowing that that's who you work for and who your job is to serve. I was really pleased with this various breakout session. You all mentioned a couple. that was important. I really liked the HR, the gal that was the attorney. I encouraged this board and the powers that be that you keep your HR people educated and also your HR attorney educated. I thought the most interesting point is learning what an executive order can do and can't do. And those things that we think it can do, it can't do. And I won't go into details, we don't have to, but it was very impressive. I thought the other thing that really struck me is where we're going in regards to the production of electricity. And when you sit and look at it, this isn't something you go, wake up today, we'll just build a power plant here or there. The concept being is that you may plan for it, but then you will have a new leader as your president that says, we're going to do this, everything is going to be green. And then you haven't planned for that. Then you turn around and you have another leader come in and says, we're going back to this. I am totally amazed at how anybody could really properly plan, because you're dealing with a need that you recognize, but how to produce that need can be totally separated by environmental things and by political means. That was, to me, was very interesting in seeing how TVA, it's obviously the identity from everybody that was talking, how we're going to be able to service our clients if we don't have the power to do it. So enjoyed the fellowship with the people that attended. It's a good time to kind of get to, JT and I had a real good time trying to find a golf course.
And not as good a time as Mike did.
Oh, I had a much.
And I can tell you it's a real pleasure to serve on this board.
Thanks.
One last thing. I've had some comments I thought was interesting in regards to when we go and dig a place in the road. Obviously, we go in and we patch it. The problem is, once that patch has been there for a month or two, it sinks. So I started driving around town. I said, I can't be that many. There are quite a few. And it's something that we may need to go back and revisit. I do know this, there is a real push, and you will probably hear about it Monday, a need to do a lot more work on our roads, so we may not be as forced into having to go back and check those things as we talk. My report.
Thank you. I can't add much more to that. Y'all really knocked it out of the park as far as reports. But I would like to specifically thank Jason and Jason for working on the budget. I know y'all had a lot of people helping you too, so it's just not something that's produced easily. I know it takes time and a lot of energy, and thank your staff for helping out with that. Also, our other VPs, we've had some storms over the past couple of weeks. I don't know if we had any big outages electrical wise. I know there was some light tube issues in the last day that they took care of. So, like I've always said, we have people out working when the weather's bad, when it's stormy, when it's light, and when it's cold, when I wouldn't want to be out doing that. But we have people that take care of our customers, and we thank you for it. Sometimes it can be a thankless job. Thank you for keeping the power on, the internet on, water, and we can flush our toilets. So, appreciate all that y'all do.
It's a key.
It is. The older you get, the more important it is. That's all I have, and I'll turn it over. Customer comments, any general customer comments? Dr. Leffler.
I'll try. Have to move around a little bit.
Get stoved up over there.
Couple questions I'm going to ask. First, let me start with a question about the scholarship funds. You said we fund that. How do we fund that?
The TUA light tube specifically. So only light tube dollars go to the scholarship fund.
Is there a percentage or some type of, what's the mechanism for figuring out how much goes into the scholarship fund?
Well, the board decided that last year at some point, that the initial scholarship amount would be $25,000.
All right, that answered my question. The second question, or second comment I make, that lets you know that Elk River is the last board meeting, Elk River is starting to work with their staff in such a way to get them involved in cutting costs, increasing customer service.
Good.
There was a really big move at the last board meeting. It was really very encouraging. So that you all are doing both sides of the fence here. You're doing something really good. Let's see. Are we taking any steps to secure professional engineers into the system?
Well, we have one in Dale Willis.
I know we do, but we lost two.
We lost two, and we have two electrical engineers that are pursuing a professional engineering license. And then we have recently hired an environmental engineer that may be interested in that.
Okay. Next statement goes along with, what are we doing internally to promote these advanced educational kind of opportunities within the culture of TUA?
The question being, what are we doing to
Promote the education.
Well, I would say the largest thing we do internally is reimburse up to 2 classes per semester. So if you go and sign up at UT or MTSU, wherever the college may be, you can get 100% reimbursed for that for up to 2 classes.
Is there anything else we do that kind of would encourage people to go on and get more education?
Well, obviously, the more education that you have and pursue, you're putting yourself in a position to be promoted to different jobs. So the answer is yes. I mean, if you have more specific questions, you may see me off the record or email.
Okay, well, I'm just getting at...
Throwing a lot of questions out there.
The whole point is, I'm getting at, is the culture is not just money. The culture is how we talk about it, what we think is valuable, how we reward our employees, or pat them on the back, encouragement, and those kinds of... What you're doing with the culture is very, very important. When I was on the board in the 2000 era, culture was really a problem. And we talked to, we had several people talk with us, and the board at that time wasn't too interested in bringing about the changes in the culture. But what you're doing is extremely important.
Thank you.
Well, Dale, you and Brian, both of you have people that have attended schools that advance the skill level of your workforce, right? Not only just college.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah. We have, the water and wastewater, we have certified operators, either at the plant or they receive certification on the water distribution system or the wastewater collection system. We have about 15 certified operators.
But I noticed over the years that this is, I mean, we're talking about a strategic plan, and I just want to throw the idea about encouraging education. That's the reason for the comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll turn it over to the man, the legend.
Well, I took up a lot of time during the work session, but to the roads. The road, this has been an issue ongoing for many years. There is now an ordinance that has been passed by BOMA, the previous BOMA, that we follow to a T. Do you know how many permits we bought this year?
This year, no, we paid for like 18 recently.
Yeah, so that's probably the past month.
Yeah.
So we follow the ordinance to a T, and it is a very strict ordinance.
Now, what does the ordinance say?
It basically dictates what type of repair we have to do when we cut the road.
Okay.
passed.
That's moving forward, so we're not doing anything.
That's not moving forward. That started last year.
Yes, about a year and a half.
Yeah. So we've been paying for those fees to the tune of $200 each time we do a cut in the road. So there is an ordinance in place.
Okay. So when you cut in the road, does the fee go back to repairing those later? Or
No, that fee's just for the city to go out and look at it.
That's a permit.
just to look at it?
Yeah.
But that didn't really get the job done, does it?
No, we're responsible for
We're going
repairing it
back.
according to the
Yeah.
ordinance.
Okay. I haven't seen the ordinance.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Now, the issue that there is that this ordinance was passed a year and a half ago, and you may be driving over spots that the work occurred 30 years ago. So it's really two issues. Moving forward, I think it's corrected because of the ordinance that's passed.
Yeah, I just know you come from the west side of town, and we've had a couple of cuts there. One of them was not involving TUA, but the city did go out and throw on top of what the state contractor did, threw some stuff out, helped a little bit. Now it's still so
On the new construction across the
absolutely
And it'll be like that for another 2 years.
no question.
But I think your point is, coming up, I don't have a crystal ball to predict what y'all are gonna talk about Monday night, but it's always, even when JT was on the board, roads, we could never fund them to the point we needed to. Well, we could have, how do you fund roads properly? You raise taxes.
Yeah.
Is that something?
And that's gonna be the issue.
That's
exactly right.
The point is now, and there was a lot of discussion about that ordinance, a lot of discussion.
It's not familiar with it.
Well, read the ordinance, but I can be unbiased from sitting in the seat of being an alderman. And the city streets, a lot of these streets were bad.
Yep.
When I was there, when Mike was there, and when Jimmy was there, and when you're there, they're bad. The problem is the way that they were done so many years ago, and the standards that were used, and the way that it was done. The result now is to get them back up to code. It would take years and years and years, unless there's a massive amount of money that comes somewhere. And where's it gonna come from?
Well, that's a typical of anything. It comes down to money.
So
And where we are now, and it's public knowledge. I mean, we're on a 40-year paving plan. We should be on a 20.
So what board is gonna say, let's double that money?
Well, if people keep complaining, the only way you're gonna be able to do it is tell them if you want better, the cost of paving things.
That's exactly right.
And it's gotta be done if that's what you want to do.
So and then
Of
something
course,
else.
the first thing they do is, the guy comes complaining to me. I said, I think we're considering this much increase. Oh, how much is that gonna affect me?
That's right.
You're sitting there going,
Yeah.
I turn around and say, if you're gonna get it done. do
Boy,
this.
this is catch-up time. From 2008 to 2017, the most we ever put into roads was $250,000
That's gone up.
per year. That's the most we've ever put in.
And
And how far do you think you can go?
You can't go very far with that.
Not
$250,000
a inch
on a road.
to speak of.
So this board is.
So it's catch-up time.
Yeah, the board is, and every board, I guess, that I've known since 2002 when I became elected, the board is suffering the sins of previous boards. No, really.
Thanks, JT.
Really.
I guess the only way you can make that is ask for
right, I
forgiveness and move forward.
Well, what we would do, usually what would happen when I was on the board, there at that last approval session, we'd make it, somebody, would make an amendment to add another $150,000.
Yeah, that's right,
Or
that's
200. We'd usually do
Yeah,
that.
we did. And I was there
And
for
that
3 terms.
And you remember that.
Yeah, I know.
I did it, all of us
that's
remember
right.
doing that, and that would sort of,
But
Band-Aid it.
if it didn't happen in your neighborhood.
It would Band-Aid some areas, but really, to fix it like it needed to be fixed, somebody's gonna have to
Really?
do some
Yeah, there's no question. And
hard pencil figuring.
I
I
think
want to
that's
point out
being
one thing
considered.
about the roads and the dips is, because I dove into this ordinance and then I started paying attention as I was driving out. And I live in a neighborhood here in Tullahoma, and
You're supposed to.
Better.
But, okay, they'll explain the way the infrastructure goes in. The developer puts in the water and the wastewater and the
Yeah.
electric. Okay, they put in the roads and the city goes in and approves the roads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, after time, when that road starts dipping, why is it TUA's fault that the road's dipping? It's not. The city's approved that.
Oh, I agree with you. I think this, I'm not talking about roads dipping, I'm talking about where you cut into a road and you've gone, I guess there's an ordinance now, and they say you're supposed to put 6 inches worth of asphalt down, and a year later, that asphalt is like an old guy like me, it started to sag. And when it does that, the only way you can fix it is either go back and repair it or get, facelift. I've been thinking about that.
That's basically what we're doing. We're putting concrete in the trench now. That's what's required in the ordinance.
Oh, it wasn't our ideal.
No. I'm sure it was. It's lightweight concrete on top of the gravel using geotechnical fabric underneath it.
Well, that's cool.
And then hot mix asphalt goes on top of that, not co-mix like we used to use.
And it's better than what the old process was.
Good.
Yes.
There's not a street cut that's been done since that ordinance was passed.
When was that passed?
It was passed, I'm thinking,
At least 18 months ago.
Okay.
Larry, you
Before you
remember
get to
when-
good
when
thing.
that was
Here's the
passed?
man right here, he passed it.
I think it's about a year and a half ago when it was passed.
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you.
We're back to customer comments.
I've
Lost control of the meeting.
Of a major street cut that's been done since this went into effect.
But
When you put in the sewer line going from Hickory Hills going down the Ovoca, there's a major cut across the curve there.
right.
When that was fixed, you could not tell that there'd ever been a cut made. It was as smooth as silk, and that's the way all the cuts are being repaired today
Now,
compared with the
Yeah.
new ordinance in town.
yeah.
See what happens.
We're gonna make,
Requirements
we're gonna
changed,
make
made
progress.
Good.
You have anything else?
I have one other thing, I'll end on a good note, is, I talked about building leaders from within, and over the weekend, our neighbors got devastated pretty bad on Duck River system. Backstory is, we have 10 linemen and apprentices that work in buckets. 3, 3, 2, and 2 is basically the setup. Well, 2 of them's always on call, it's a rotation Friday to Friday. So you're down to 8. Well, it was Memorial Day weekend, so a lot of people's out with their family, they're out of town. So we didn't have a lot of backup. Well, our neighbors needed help. So what happened was the 2 linemen we had on call went and helped Duck River, and one of our safety director, who's a former lineman, took on call, and our general foreman took on call and went to line work. So that's an example of culture and people not worrying about job titles.
Yeah.
Stepping up and working as a team and helping our neighbors, which is what local power is about.
Yes. Tell them kudos. Do we have anything else to come before the board? If not, I call this meeting adjourned.